This Part 2 Episode 101. Now is the best time to enter the Heaven Mountain blood pool, please get moving. Jin Shi's figure drifted over from a distant place before finally landing. There were two large gold-swallowing mice behind him. Is that the Heaven Mountain blood pool? A heated look appeared in Xiao Yan's eyes as he stared at the unusual blood pool. After which, he glanced at Feng Qing'er and the rest, who were wildly rushing toward the blood pool. His toes pressed on the ground, and he rushed toward the Heaven Mountain blood pool while pulling Nalan Yangran along. The size of this volcano's mouth was extremely large. However, Xiao Yan managed to cover the distance within half a minute with his speed. By the time he had hurried over, however, he coincidentally managed to see Feng Qing'er and the others charge into the blood pool, emitting a splashing sound as they did so. Xiao Yan felt somewhat helpless when he saw these fellows being so anxious. However, it was fortunate that his target was the bottom of the blood pool. Otherwise, it would really be fun if he had competed with these people in terms of craziness. The Heaven Mountain blood pool was around 70 to 80 feet or so, and could not be considered too large. However, it was more than sufficient to accommodate Xiao Yan and the others. Looking at the blood pool from close up, Xiao Yan felt that the unusual feeling had become even denser. The red-colored energy did not appear to be much different than fresh blood. It was viscous and red. Some blood-like bubbles would also repeatedly appear on the surface of the blood pool. A wave of dense blood-colored energy was slowly being emitted like smoke. It is indeed worthy of being a mysterious place that can aid one in breaking through the bottleneck. The shocking amount of energy gathered is at a level that I am seeing for the first time, Xiao Yang sighed in his heart. He turned his head to Nalan Yangran and smiled as he said, "You should enter. Although you have not reached the peak of the Do Huang class, soaking in it will still be beneficial to you." Nalan Yangran nodded slightly. She placed the white fox in her hands down gently beside the blood pool. After which, her pretty eyes paused on Xiao Yang's face while she whispered, "Thank you very much. If you wish to find teacher in the future, you can perhaps head to the flower sect." Nalan Yangran did not wait for Xiao Yang to question her for more details after she spoke. Her body moved and she plunged into the blood pool like a mermaid. Flower sect? One of the so-called two sects? Xiao Yan was startled when he saw Nalan Yangran's back disappear within the blood pool. However, he did not have the time to ponder about how Yun managed to interact with such a faction. Nevertheless, he remembered this in his heart. His body leaped forward and landed into the blood pool with a smashing noise. The mouth of the volcano gradually became calm following the group's entrance into the blood pool. Only the wild wind continued to rage crazily, forming whistling storms in the process. The red liquid in the blood pool was quite viscous. It was just like fresh blood. Visibility had shortened this place. Even when one swam, one would sense quite a strong resistance. Moreover, the thing that caused Xiao Yang to be stunned was that his spiritual strength had difficulty penetrating the blood-red liquid. This feeling was just like the strange maze fog that he had met in the forest earlier. Although his spiritual strength had difficulty penetrating the blood-red-colored liquid, Xiao Yang could still vaguely sense that there was something crazily absorbing the energy within the blood pool not far from him. Clearly, that should be Feng Qing'er and the others. Xiao Yan's body momentarily stopped. He hesitated for a moment as his gaze looked to the bottom of the blood pool. Due to his sight being hindered, all that he could see was a serene dark red. At a glance, it gave one a feeling that caused one's paws to stand. Xiao Yan waved his hand and the dark golden bone appeared in it. He held it tightly, clenched his teeth, and moved, breaking through the red-colored liquid in the process. After which, he swiftly swam toward the bottom. The further Xiao Yang was from the surface of the blood pool, the energy that the red-colored liquid contained also became even denser and more pure. However, Xiao Yang clearly understood that this red-colored energy was contaminated with an extremely rich fire poison. This kind of fire poison was not naturally formed with the energy. Instead, it had seeped out of this volcano. This Heaven Mountain blood pool should be the middle of the volcano where the fire poison was the most wild and violent. Xiao Yang had seen something like this fire poison back then in the blazing Sky Chi refining tower of the Inner Academy. However, these two fire poisons were clearly on two completely different levels. This Heaven Eye Mountains volcano had existed for an unknown number of years. The accumulated fire poison was extremely terrifying. Otherwise, it would not be possible for it to injure Jin Shi so much. An elite Do zone was not weak. A jade-green flame surrounded Xiao Yan's body. Its frightening temperature caused the blood-red energy around him to completely vaporize. The fire poison that was contained within the red-colored energy was forcefully expelled by the flame, and was unable to even touch Xiao Yan's body. After this continuous descent lasted for around 10 minutes, the dark golden skull in Xiao Yan's hand finally became hot, and a glow seeped out of it. Xiao Yan's heart rejoiced when he saw the reaction of the skull. His swimming speed gradually slowed before his body came to a stop. His gaze was fire-hot as he looked below. The space at that spot vaguely contained a distorted feeling. The large amount of red-colored liquid present seemed as though it had met with an invisible barrier, forcing it to separate. Is this the spatial barrier? A solemnness flashed across Xiao Yan's eyes as he looked at the distorted space. He could vaguely sense the great strength of this thing. If he were to rely on his own strength, it would have been difficult for him to enter it. Xiao Yan slowly raised the dark golden-colored skull in his hand. After which, he gently placed it on the invisible spatial barrier. Immediately, the skull emitted an intense light as circular ripples rose from the spatial barrier. Immediately, a tunnel that could only accommodate a single person appeared in front of Xiao Yan. The solemnness on Xiao Yan's face became more intense upon seeing this tunnel. He returned the skull to his storage ring and inhaled a deep breath. The glazed lotus heart flame surged out and completely wrapped around his body. Only after applying these precautions did Xiao Yan quietly relax. His body moved and he cautiously swam into the tunnel. Xiao Yan's body had just passed through the tunnel when he suddenly sensed a powerful pressure surging over. His body immediately sank over a dozen meters before stabilizing. After stabilizing his body, Xiao Yan began to raise his eyes and look all around him. This area that was sealed by the spatial barrier was not very large. It was definitely less than 100 feet in size. The viscosity of the blood-red energy in this place had reached a frightening level. Even when he moved his arm, he would sense a resistance that was over 10 times stronger than what it was above. A kind of dark grayish glow was mixed with this viscous blood-colored liquid. The glow emitted a faint fishy stench. Each time these grayish-colored glow landed on the jade-green flame around Xiao Yan's body, they would immediately burst apart. At the same time, the flame would tremble. Is this the Heaven Mountain fire poison? Its corrosive strength is actually this frightening. No wonder even an expert like Jin Shi did not dare to remain for long in this place. Xiao Yan muttered to himself within his heart. His expression was solemn as he looked over the dense, grey-colored light spots. When the first wave of majestic blood-red liquid entered Xiao Yan's body, it caused his entire body to tremble. Such a large amount of energy was comparable to 3 to 5 days of effort given a normal day. Now, however, it was completely absorbed within an extremely short period of time. No wonder the gold-swallowing mouse tribe had spent such a great amount of effort to hide this place. If one could completely expel the fire poison from this place, the strength of the gold-swallowing mouse tribe would definitely soar because of it. Xiao Yan's mind controlled the majestic energy that poured into his body and navigated it along the flame mantra chi method route. During the circulation, Xiao Yan could vaguely sense his veins, bones, muscles, and even cells wildly swallowing the enormous amount of energy that had invaded his body. While they swallowed, they were also swiftly strengthening themselves. The viscous blood energy seemed to possess a kind of miraculous effect. The amount of it that could be absorbed was extremely high. Perhaps it was due to the accumulation over the years, but it also possessed a faint life force. During the absorption, Xiao Yan could feel that his body was in an energetic state. This was a very unique feeling. If someone else had been here now, the person would have discovered that Xiao Yan's entire body seemed to have turned a blood-red color. The majestic, viscous energy had already occupied every single inch of his body. Even his skin had turned extremely flexible while soaking in the blood-colored energy. Xiao Yan's heart felt a great joy because the blood energy possessed such a miraculous effect. If Xiao Yan had some earlier doubts about this place being able to aid him in breaking through the Do Huang class, he had forgotten them all. According to this speed, he had the confidence that the bottomless pit of energy needed to break through the Do Huang class would be filled by this place. The bottom of the blood pool had given Xiao Yan a great amount of energy that would transform him. In this place, he could fearlessly absorb the energy around without worrying about facing a situation where the energy would be exhausted. The Heaven Mountain fire poison in this place, that other people were most afraid of, did not pose the slightest threat to Xiao Yan. Hence, this treasure ground could be called a tailor-made perfect for Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan's suction speed might be frightening, but he also knew that even though this was the case, a long amount of time would still be needed if he wished to break through the Do Huang class. The energy needed to break through the peak of the Do Huang class was really too vast. Xiao Yan's body sat cross-legged at the bottom of the blood pool like a corpse. The jade-green flame around his body appeared as though it could never be extinguished as it firmly protected Xiao Yan. The waves of thick blood-red energy around the flame were penetrating through it without stopping before they poured into Xiao Yan's body. The quiet bottom of the blood pool did not possess any concept of time. Xiao Yan sat there like an old monk. The aura that was spreading from his body was gradually climbing at a slow pace. Although this pace seemed slow, it was crossing the Great Canyon between the Dohuang and the Dozone class. Xiao Yan's strength climbed at a snail's pace. According to this speed, it was only a matter of time before he broke through. A jade-green color was vaguely visible within the fiery redness. It was exceptionally eye-catching. If one were to take a closer look, a figure, seated cross-legged, would finally be revealed. Naturally, that figure was Xiao Yan, who had entered the blood pool to train. Xiao Yan had never exited his training state ever since he had entered it. He was just like an old monk maintaining an immovable posture as he absorbed the vast and mighty energy from around him. After which, he used it to refine his veins, bones, muscles, and even cells. A dark red blood color covered every single inch of Xiao Yan's body. Even his face was filled with this blood color. At a glance, Xiao Yan appeared savage. However, it was fortunate that there were no other people present other than him. Hence, no one saw this scene. By estimating the time, Xiao Yan should have already remained in this place for around 2 days. He did not rest for even a moment during these 2 days as he continued to absorb the powerful energy from around him. During this quick and fierce absorption, the Do-Chi within Xiao Yan's body gradually became stronger as it repeatedly flowed through his veins in a crashing manner, like a river flow. According to Xiao Yan's estimation, it was likely that he had reached the peak of the 9-star Do Huang. However, there was still a distance that was difficult to estimate from this point. If he wanted to successfully break through to the Do Huang class, it was highly unlikely that he could achieve it within 2 to 3 days even with the help of the Heaven Mountain blood pool. Time flowed by like flowing water within the dark red blood pool. In the blink of an eye, nearly 10 days passed. Xiao Yan's body did not move even a little during this period of time. His blood-red hair had also become denser. However, it was worthwhile mentioning that Xiao Yan's current aura had gradually soared to a frightening level. Although he had yet to break through the Do Huang class, he was at least 2 to 3 times stronger compared to 10 days ago. The transformation of his aura did not successfully break Xiao Yan through the Do Huang class. From this, one could tell just how difficult it was to reach the Dozone class. If not for this Heaven Mountain blood pool, it was likely that Xiao Yan would have required at least half a year to reach this stage even with his incredible training speed. Wave after wave of viscous energy unceasingly poured into Xiao Yan's body. At a certain moment, Xiao Yan's face suddenly moved. His eyes twitched a little, and they were slowly opened. The eyes of Xiao Yan revealed some surprise when he opened them. What had suddenly woken him up from his training state was not due to any external factor. Instead, it was due to Xiao Yan discovering something about his training in this place. The 3000 lightning illusionary body spiritual avatar between his brows was also absorbing the blood-colored energy. Perhaps it was due to his suppression of it, but the avatar did not manage to absorb much of the energy. Hence, it was only now that Xiao Yan suddenly discovered that his avatar was growing stronger. The energy in this place can strengthen a soul. Xiao Yan uncertainly muttered. He hesitated for a moment before flicking his finger. A shapeless light rushed from between his brows, and finally landed beside him. The avatar had just appeared when the interior of its body automatically emitted a suction force. The surrounding blood-colored energy also seemed to be dragged by it. A portion of this energy was separated and poured into the avatar's body. When this viscous energy made contact with the fallen heart flame on the surface of the avatar's body, it immediately emitted a crackling sound, which appeared due to the fire poison within the energy. It is fortunate that the fallen heart flame is protecting the avatar. Otherwise, the moment this avatar appeared, it would have been eroded by the fire poison until it scattered. Xiao Yan sighed in relief when he saw this scene. He spoke joyfully in his heart. After a vast and mighty energy entered the avatar, one could see a dense red color immediately surge out of its body. In an instant, the originally transparent avatar immediately turned blood red in color. Although its color had changed, Xiao Yan, who had a spiritual contact with the avatar, was surprised to discover that the strength of this avatar was swiftly rising at a speed that caused one to be shocked. According to this speed and the refinement of the fallen heart flame, it is likely that the avatar will be able to reach the intermediate stage soon. The energy in this place also possesses the effect of refining a spiritual avatar? Xiao Yan muttered to himself in surprise after being shocked momentarily by this speed. Within less than half a year, Xiao Yan would be able to train his 3000 lightning illusionary body to the intermediate stage. If this news were to spread to the ears within the Wind Lightning Pavilion, it was likely that those people who practiced this Do technique would immediately spit out blood on the spot. This was especially the case for Fan Tien. It should be known that this old fellow had spent nearly 5 years to train his avatar to the intermediate stage, yet Xiao Yan had shortened the amount of time needed from 5 years to a time frame over 10 times quicker. This gap was as vast as the gap between the clouds and the ground. If I am able to successfully break through to the Do Zone class, it is likely that I will be able to hold my own for even against that old Fei Tien who will not die. Should I borrow old Mr. Yao's strength again, I might really be able to fight with him head-on. Do Zong and Do Huang were two completely different classes. If Xiao Yang were able to successfully break through, the gap between him and Fei Tien would no longer be so distant and unreachable. He might even be able to fight with Fei Tien if he borrowed the help of some external things. Moreover, if he reached the Do Zone class, his chances of successfully refining a Tier 7 medicinal pill would also significantly rise. He would no longer need to rely on his luck. With this ability, Xiao Yang was quite confident that he would be able to enter the top 10 of the pill gathering organized by the Pill Tower. Xiao Yan's heart also became hotter as he thought about the various benefits he would receive upon reaching the Do Zone class. He inhaled a deep breath of air, glanced at his spiritual avatar absorbing energy not far beside him, and once again formed the training seal with his hands. His eyes were gradually shut. This time around, he had decided that he would definitely not leave the bottom of the blood pool until he break through to the Do Zone class. After Xiao Yan entered his training state, the bottom of the blood pool once again became completely quiet. The only thing different, however, was that there was an additional figure absorbing the energy like an empty pit within this dark red world. Time passed extremely quickly in this place. Xiao Yang, who had completely entered his training state, had completely forgotten about the flow of time. He gradually entered a condition that was completely oblivious to his surroundings. The only way to get out of this place was to wait for the day of his breakthrough. It has already been 2.5 months, Jin Shi knit his brows and looked to the mouth of the volcano. The Heaven Mountain blood pool at that spot had already fallen from its filled condition back then to an extremely shallow level. Moreover, the blood color within the liquid had become much paler. At a glance, it did not appear much different from ordinary lake water. The energy within it had also paled to a level that was impossible to absorb. Jin Jiyu by the side also bitterly laughed when he heard this. He immediately said with some hesitation, "Could something have happened? The Heaven Mountain fire poison below is overly dense. Even I do not dare to proceed too deep, that should not be the case. Although the Heaven Mountain fire poison is extremely fierce, it does not pose much of a threat to a heavenly flame." Jin Shi shook his head and spoke in a deep voice. For some unknown reason, however, his tone did not appear very confident when he said this. Xiao Yang had already entered the Heaven Mountain blood pool for 2.5 months. This period of time was indeed a little too long. The fire poison at the bottom of the blood pool was extremely dense. Even he did not dare to stay for such a long time. Although Xiao Yan possessed a heavenly flame, his strength was ultimately only that of a 9-star Do Huang. Jin Jiyu helplessly sighed when he saw Jin Shi's appearance. During these 2.5 months, the energy tide of the Heaven Eye mountain range had gradually calmed down. Feng Qing and the others had remained in the blood pool for 5 days before leaving the pool. After a brief goodbye, they swiftly left this place. From the looks of it, it seemed that they had benefited from soaking in the blood pool this time around. They might even be able to successfully break through the Do Huang class once they returned. Nailin Yangran, on the other hand, had only remained in the blood pool for 3 days. This was because the energy within her body had already reached saturation, and she had little choice but to leave. After which, she waited for Xiao Yang on the Heaven Eye mountain range for nearly 2 months before finally having no choice but to leave. In other words, it was likely that Xiao Yang was the only one in the Heaven Eye mountain no one had any news of. If there is still no news today, I will enter the blood pool and see just what has happened. After musing for a while, Jin Shi finally grit his teeth. He still required Xiao Yang's help to expel the fire poison from his body. Hence, even though he knew that he could not just enter the bottom of the blood pool as he wished, he had no choice but to go and take a look. Jin Jiyu also helplessly nodded when he heard this. They had no other choice left but to do so. Bang! The surroundings of the mouth of the volcano suddenly emitted a loud rumbling sound when Jin Jiyu had just nodded his head. All the energy around them suddenly began to fluctuate. Following the appearance of this rumbling sound, one could see that the surrounding natural energy seemed to have met with a drag force and began to crazily gather around the mouth of the volcano. Jinsha and Jin Jiyu fixed their eyes onto the spot where the energy had gathered. It was surprisingly the location where the Heaven Mountain blood pool was located. What has happened? The sudden unexpected change caused Jin Jiyu to be startled as he hurriedly questioned. No wonder he has remained for such a long time in the bottom of the blood pool. He is actually thinking of breaking through to the Do Zone class in one go. However, it is likely that this method can only be used by people like him who possess a heavenly flame. The Heaven Mountain fire poison below is really a little too frightening. But the activity that this fellow creates when he is breaking through is really incredible. This place has been shaken until this manner. It is likely that some elite Do Zone within a 500-kilometer radius will sense something. Jin Jiyu smacked his mouth as he lamented. Jinsha nodded. His eyes focused intently on the blood pool and his heart also sighed in relief. As long as nothing happened to Xiao Yan, the fire poison within his body should not be a problem. While these two were conversing, the fluctuation of the natural energy in this place also became more and more intense. Wave after wave of dense energy seeped from the surroundings. After which, the energy flowed toward the whirlpool within the blood pool. Looking from a distance, it seemed as though the entire Heaven Eye Mountain was wrapped within a somewhat colorful, violent energy storm, giving it a spectacular appearance. The sudden unexpected change naturally attracted the attention of the entire gold-swallowing mouse tribe in the Heaven Eye Mountain. Innumerable stunned gazes shot to the source of the commotion. They looked at the substance-like energy while the energy pressure that vaguely seeped from it caused quite a number of weaker gold-swallowing mice to feel their hearts tremble with fear. The change in the surroundings not only did not reduce with the flow of time, but instead became more severe. In the end, it seemed as though there were a countless number of colorful pillars falling from the sky. As an increasing amount of energy poured into the blood pool, majestic aura, similar to that of an enormous dragon waking up, slowly seeped out of the bottom of the blood pool. That aura was extremely strong. Even Jinsha and Jin Jiyu expressions changed slightly. This aura does not seem like the level of someone who has just advanced to the Do Zone class. Jin Jiyu muttered somewhat doubtfully, yes, this aura alone is not inferior to that of an ordinary one-star Do Zone. However, one cannot rule out the explanation of one's aura reaching the peak when breaking through. Perhaps it will gradually be reduced after the breakthrough is completed. Jinsha nodded as he replied. The permeating aura swiftly spread. Within a short period of time, it covered the entire Heaven Eye Mountain. Under such a mighty aura, everyone, with the exception of a certain strong individuals like Jinsha, felt a fear seeping out of their hearts. Quite a number of gold-swallowing mice, that had yet to evolve, let out a panicked screech. Following the massive activity within the Heaven Eye Mountain and the increasingly strong aura that was spreading from the bottom of the blood pool, quite a number of experts within a 500-kilometer radius of the Heaven Eye Mountain sensed something. In an instant, numerous gazes were thrown in the direction of the Heaven Eye Mountain range. This aura is another person about to break through to the Do Zone class? From this direction, it seems to be from the Heaven Eye Mountain range. Is it another member of the gold-swallowing mouse tribe? These fellows are really lucky. Therefore, the strength of the gold-swallowing mouse tribe will increase again. The Heaven Mountain blood pool is really good stuff. Looks like I should get the disciples in the sect to try their luck next time. He is about to come out. Jinsha stared at the frightening rotation speed of the water surface before he suddenly spoke in a deep voice. Bang! Jinsha's voice had just sounded when the surface of the water appeared as though a bomb had been dropped into it. It exploded and a countless number of water pillars shot into the sky. The water pillars burst apart, and it seemed as though rain had descended on the Heaven Eye Mountain. The blood pool's water pillars spat out in all directions. A short while later, a crane-like cry, from the bottom of the blood pool, suddenly broke through the surface of the water and shot to the clouds while carrying a mighty dochi with it. Bang bang! A clear roar seemed to have stirred the shaking of the sky and land. Space was distorted while the water pillars shot out. The entire Heaven Eye Mountain range had begun to tremble at this instant. Numerous cracks began to swiftly spread like spiderwebs around the mouth of the volcano while a deafening sound resounded over the mountain. Boom! The movement of the mountain peak had just stopped when a large water pillar, that seemed to cover all of the blood pool, violently shot out like a volcanic eruption. It forcefully blasted away the whirlpool on the surface. The water pillar was a couple of dozens meters in height. When it reached its highest point, the water pillar suddenly collapsed. Enormous clusters of water fell from the sky like rain had formed between the sky and the land. The rain violently smashed onto the rocks below, resulting in a clear pitter-patter sound being formed. All the gazes within the Heaven Eye Mountain range were focused intently on the sky. The rain that spread over the sky seemed to have been torn apart by an invisible hand, opening a path to the sky. A skinny figure slowly appeared in the part of the sky where the rain had been separated. The figure's legs were stepping on the empty air while his body stood extremely straight. The majestic aura that spread from his body appeared just like a sword that could split open the endless sky above his head. Dozone. Numerous respectful and envious voices sounded throughout the entire Heaven Eye mountain range when everyone present sensed the great strength of this aura. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.